Good day everybody, my name is Marcel Hutting and I currently have the privilege of serving as the team leader for the group of athletes that will be tackling the Ultra Trail Cape Town, or better known as the UTCT race at the end of November. The reason we're doing this absolutely insane stunt of running a 100-miler, and in kilometers we're talking about 160 kilometers over a 7,600 vertical. What that basically means is, unlike a flat road, vertical is when we go over and down the mountains, over a table mountain, down through a beach area, over Chapman's Peak, down another beach area. About 7,600, that's comparable to about Mount Everest. And we'll be doing this in less than 45 consecutive hours. Why are we doing something as crazy and stupid as this? Well, there's obviously the main reason for the physical challenge, the emotional challenge. We are ultra athletes that enjoy, crazy stunts like running the Comrades Marathon or things like that. But this is taking it to a whole new level and a whole new excitement to be done. So guys, in this short little video clip, I want to share just some of my heart of why we got involved with this, and the story of true impact that we are trusting will be the result of 5 people that will be setting off at the end of November to make a difference. This is the story of the Be Loved Foundation, a phenomenal foundation that is based in Pretoria. And while we were contemplating doing a run like this, we found out of the great work that Be Love is busy doing in the lives of so many people. But before I get to Be Loved, I want to quickly reflect on a story in my own life. And this story takes me back all the way to when I was 19 years old. I was a student studying at the University of Pretoria, and in the area where I stayed in Pretoria in Sunnyside, I one day went to the C&A, for those of you that can remember the bookstore, and I was buying a particular book. And while I was buying the book, from the side of my view, I saw a young lady standing quite close to me. And what I saw as a typical student, I kind of enjoyed the view because it was something like fishnet stockings. It was the small little skimpy, kind of dress that she had on, and a very interesting makeup. So I got all my courage together and I walked over to her, and I thought, man, this is going to be an easy pickup line. She's standing in front of the bookshelf. I'm a little bit of a nerd, knowing some things about book, and I can't even remember the stupid opening line. But as she turned to me and we made eye contact, I will never forget that moment, because the best way to describe that moment is when I looked into her eyes, it looked like this girl, who was most probably mid-20s, it looked like she lived 50 lifetimes. Life was completely drained out of her eyes. It was like it was this void, it was this absence of life. Long story short, after a conversation, she told me that she was abducted and she was a victim of human trafficking. She was abstracted out of that world, and unfortunate because of her heroin addiction, she returned into prostitution and she returned to this addiction lifestyle, and she's been in it for about 4 years at that stage. The shocking reality of looking a person in the eyes that has gone through some of the most extreme trauma that any woman can potentially ever go through is one of the core challenges of our systemic broken society. When I met with the Be Love Foundation and I heard that they are actively involved with the extraction and the rehabilitation and the safety and security of victims of human trafficking, and I remember that day when I looked into the eyes of that young lady, I immediately realized that there is a greater purpose of running a 100-miler than just perhaps my own ego or my bucket lists or anything that I want to bring together. We as a group of 5 runners will be running at the end of November this race because we're involved in raising capital to buy out a human trafficking safe house in the eastern side of Pretoria. This safe house has been under the stewardship and custodianship of the Be Love Foundation for many years, and recently they found out that the owners will be putting the house to market. And what we said is the 3.5 million rand is definitely an aim to contribute in whatever way. Yes, there's the typical donations where companies and individuals can have a tax benefit, but we are more interested in what is known in the South African context as SED funding, or social economic development, that adds towards BE scorecarding and a significant other areas of contributions. For many businesses, this is still just what they call a grudge payment. They have to do it. And what we feel is, if that kind of funding is running through your company, why not channel it to a process that will really make an impact? And this is something for me as a leader in the business world and within different communities that is critically important. I believe in the principle of not only giving somebody a fish to feed them, but rather to teach them how to fish for themselves. It's one thing to sustain an organization like the Bila Foundation and the people who's running this safe house operationally. It's very different to empower them to be able to continue doing this on a long-term basis, to have a capital investment, that they do not lose their house, that they do not lose this asset, but to make sure at any given time that that house is completely filled with women and ladies who's extracted from this destructive life of slavery. In our own business, CCI Professional, we have a deep understanding of the Lord's word over our business for every season. And in the current season, the word that we are journeying with from a spiritual perspective is very much found in the life of Queen Esther. There is a biblical narrative about this Jewish lady, a slave girl, that her ancestors were captured by the Babylonians and taken across to the Persian Empire. And she was a nobody, she was an outcast person. And to cut the long story short, by a lot of grace and being appointed for a specific time, Esther became the queen of the Persian Empire. In a sense, most probably just after the king, the second most influential person, because she was born for a time such as this. As I was reflecting just from a business point of view, and I realized that God has called so many young women for a time such as this, and because of circumstances, because of challenges like human trafficking, they find themselves in the most horrific and the most life-threatening position that you can possibly imagine. As runners, we are not the heroes of the story. We are not the champions. 3 of us will be running the 100-milers. One of our members will be running a 55-kilometer, and our beloved ambassador will be running 35. What we'll be putting our bodies through is pale in comparison to the pain and the suffering that these young ladies go through when they are abducted and when they are sold into slavery. My heart is to get a safe house, equip a team, help support this venture, so that young potential Queen Esthers that is at the bottom of our broken society may find an opportunity to discover God's appointed time for their life, to discover that no matter what happens to them in life, nothing can ever disqualify them from God's love, from God's mercy, from His grace. Nothing can ever cancel His purposes over their lives. The only difference between me and you watching this video and where we as business leaders and community leaders are, is the fact that we have opportunities. Every day when I wake up, I have many different options and many different opportunities. These young ladies find themselves in a space where they do not have opportunities. Guys, that's why I'm running. That's why I brought together a team. That's why we are doing what we are doing, is to bring opportunities to these young ladies, because who knows how many young Queen Esthers are amongst them. How many of these young ladies will go on in life to have a significant impact on the South African society and the nations beyond. And therefore, I want to invite you and I want to challenge you to get involved with this project and help us to raise the 3.5 million for the Bila Foundation, to buy that safe house, to make sure we've got a house of safety for these young ladies. Please follow us if you haven't been exposed to this journey. Our Facebook links are constantly posted, our social media platforms. Follow us on the Bila. We just did a recording with Ontbyt Sake, a CakeNet program that we'll be hosting. You're welcome on the YouTube channels to watch our video clips on this. where we are challenging our communities and our societies to get involved with this local process. Again, there are many different ways in how you can get involved and the benefits for you personally and especially for the businesses. But most of all, we're asking for a time of prayer. Prayer, yes, to sustain us through this run because we really will be needing it. But prayer for the impact that this project will be having in the lives of so many young Queen Esthers. I want to thank you for your time and I want to thank you for your consideration for this. And may you experience God's grace in and through your life as you contemplate to get involved within this project. I thank you.